What's up, everyone? My name's Preston, and I'm 23, and I'm a transgender man, and I'm new-ish to YouTube. I don't make videos all that often, but when I do, I talk about trans topics, if that makes sense. I want to base my channel off of trans problems, frequently asked questions, news, etc. So, yeah. But today I'm going to be answering frequently asked questions about trans people that a lot of people ask, and it's not really going to be based off my opinion, really, more on facts, because I did a lot of research, because I wanted to make sure that I got my facts straight. Even though I am a trans person, there's some things that I'm misinformed about, such as certain surgery stuff, because I've never had surgery, and I haven't really looked into it yet because I don't want to get any sort of surgery, so there's that. But anyways, I'm going to start out with what the word transgender means, basically, and it's basically a term for anybody who doesn't, or excuse me, anyone whose gender identity or their gender expression is different from what's assigned to them at birth, such as they're assigned, like on their birth certificate, their biological sex, male or female, and that's basically what transgender means. And gender identity and gender expression are two things that people get mixed up quite a bit, and so I'm gonna give you the gist of what that is. And so I wrote little notes just to remind myself. Gender identity refers to a person's, in other words, strong feelings psychologically about their identification as a male or a female or some other gender. And gender expression refers to what makes somebody behave, I guess, their behavior as a man or a woman, such as, like, being masculine or feminine. So, I guess your gender expression is how you present yourself, either masculinely or femininely, in other words. So my gender identity is I identify as male, and I express my gender more masculinely, I suppose, because I don't know, I can be flamboyant, I guess, but it's because I'm so comfortable with my sexuality that I'm not, like, uncomfortable if somebody thinks I'm gay. And we'll get to that in a second. But anyways, transitioning is what I'm doing. I'm on hormones. And it's basically a process that we go through as trans people, or as transgender individuals, to begin living as whichever gender we identify as, and rather than whatever sex we are assigned as at birth. It may include, well, like I said, hormone therapy, other procedures such as, like, top surgery or other things, other medical procedures. And so transitioning is basically the process that you go through in order to live the life as as you want to, like, the person you want to be, basically. Like, for me, I'm on hormones because before I started hormones, I was really depressed, and I was having a lot of problems with my, confidence and how I felt like I was as a person, and I was just really unsure of myself at the time, and, like, I am better, but I'll make another video about how it feels to be on hormones and whatever. But anyways, basically, there's two different short terms for transgender people. There's FTM, which is female to male, and then MTF, which is male to female. And female to male, obviously, is somebody who was biologically born female but identifies their gender identity, they identify as male and want to, eventually transition into the person they want to be. And male to female stands for individual who is born biologically male but wants to transition to being female, and who identifies as female. And but anyways, when I was talking to a second ago, I was saying there is a difference between being transgender and being gay, because being gay is somebody's sexual orientation. Being transgender isn't a sexual orientation. It is a gender identity. And the huge difference, obviously, is one refers to who you, or what you identify gender-wise, and the other one is who you are attracted to sexually. So being trans and being gay are different things, because I know for some reason people have a hard time differentiating the two, and I really don't know why. And cross-dressing is another thing that people have a hard time differentiating from trans people, and I understand, I guess, because it's kind of the idea that someone is dressing like another sex, but the difference is people who cross-dress, they do wear clothes, accessories, and other things that make them look like the opposite gender, things that normally a man or a woman, whatever their gender is, don't normally wear or, use, such as makeup if they, identify as a man. And many, many people who cross-dress are comfortable with their assigned gender at birth and don't want to change it. And cross-dressing is a form of gender expression and doesn't really indicate somebody's gender identity or sexual orientation. So, in other words, the main difference is people who cross-dress are comfortable with their assigned gender at birth and don't wish to change it, and people who identify as transgender identify differently, and their gender identity would be different than somebody who cross-dresses, because like I said, those people don't want to, transition or even change their gender legally, and they're comfortable with who they are. A trans person isn't comfortable with who they are, and they, eventually want to transition or will transition, change their name, whatever, it is that someone like me would do, which is things along the line of that. And a lot of the time people associate being transgender with a mental disorder, and it's a common stereotype for some reason for people to refer to being transgender as a mental disorder, because for the longest time it was a disorder. It was technically considered gender identity disorder, and a disorder, like a mental disorder, is something that you can treat, can be cured with treatment, supposedly, like a mental illness. That is debatable, though, because a lot of people go through treatment and still have a hard time, but trans people basically experience constant and genuine disconnect between their assigned sex at birth and and their internal sense of person and how they feel, who they are as an individual, who they are. And that means that, for instance, me, when I was growing up, I didn't feel ever like a girl because, you know, I didn't have a word for it, but I always thought of myself as a boy, and whenever I would get called she and people would use my biological name, it would make me uncomfortable because then I'd know other people would know that I was a girl, or, and I identified as female for the longest time because I didn't know how my family would react or how other people would react in my life, because I've heard horror stories about people coming out and like people disowning them, friends stop being friends with them, stuff like that. But now being out, it made me realize who my real friends were and who, in my family is worth keeping up with and stuff like that. So, basically, they changed in 2012. They changed the term from gender identity disorder to gender dysphoria, because it's a more neutral term. Because, like I was saying, a disorder is something that can be cured, and being transgender isn't something that can be cured. It would be like saying being gay is a disorder, and obviously it's not. So, do all people who transition have surgery? No. I'm transitioning, and I may or may not even get top surgery because it's a personal preference. I'm afraid of surgery in general. The only kind of surgery that I've ever had, technically, is getting my wisdom teeth pulled, and even then, it wasn't even really surgery. They just pulled teeth out of my mouth, pretty much, and cut open my gums. I guess that's surgery then, but anyways, I'm afraid of surgery. I don't like surgery. I don't like the idea of being put under, and I had a friend who got top surgery and who confided in me and told me that their chest went numb, and for them it wasn't a problem because they, didn't care whether or not they had feeling in their chest, because it wasn't, something that they wanted there in the first place, and it just, I guess for them, in a way helps with their dysphoria, because for me, I don't want a chest, but like I said, I'm afraid of surgery, so all I have going for me right now is if I really wanted, I guess, to make my chest look any different, I would have to work out frequently, a lot. I don't know, that's how I feel anyways, but like I said, not all trans people and trans people who transition have surgery, because some people just don't want it, and some don't. They can transition without surgery, so you don't need to get top surgery to start hormones, and you don't need to get bottom surgery to start hormones. So you don't need, I guess, to get surgery ever if you don't want it. Not I guess, you don't, because it's a personal preference. And some people don't actually have access to medical treatment in order to get these procedures done, and or insurance for these procedures, because first of all, top surgery is very, very, very expensive. It's 8 to 10 grand depending on where you go, who you go to, and I think also how big your chest is. I don't know though, because there's different kinds of surgery. There's, I think, a full mastectomy, which is where they cut underneath your boob and I've never watched a surgery be done, but I am assuming they suck all the fat out and then reposition your chest to make it look more masculine. And then there's another surgery called like a keyhole surgery, I think. Keyhole. And it's basically where they like cut a little hole in the side of your chest and drain it that way. And it's like the scars are a lot less noticeable. And normally with people who have smaller chests, they tend to do that surgery because there's not as much, you know, to get rid of, if that makes sense. I don't know what it would be called. I guess fat. And, sorry, another frequently asked question that people tend to ask is how they know which pronouns to use. And basically, in short, trans people should be referred to as whichever pronoun they identify as. And it often, like I have said previously, corresponds to which gender they identify as. So if they identify as he, then refer to them as he. If they, identify as she, refer to them as she. But some people do not believe in a gender binary, and those people usually like to be referred to as they, because it's obviously a very more neutral term for a person. And one last thing I wanted to talk about is, can somebody be fired for being trans? And the answer to that is that I looked up statistics. Right now, 32 states in the United States, there is no law protecting transgender individuals from being fired and being discriminated against because of who they are. And there's only 18 states that currently prohibit this kind of discrimination in the workplace. In 2011, a national transgender discrimination survey said that 47% of respondents reported experiencing a negative job outcome, such as being fired, losing a promotion, or not even being hired. And this is all because they are transgender or gender nonconforming. And to me, that's really sad, because if these people had a child and they were trans or gender nonconforming, or even a friend that they, really dearly care about, and they were fired for being trans or gender nonconforming, it would upset them. I mean, a lot of people really don't care because there's a lot of transphobic people out there, and homophobic people too, lots of phobic people. And so, that being said, there's a lot of hate and a lot of discrimination that comes with being transgender. And that's one thing that my dad told me that would never get easier, is people accepting me, because there's always going to be someone who doesn't. And I have learned that well by now. Being almost 24, I've realized that there's a lot of people in this world who just want to watch the world burn. And those are the people that you're never, ever, ever going to convince that you have a right to be here, and you have a right to be who you are. You have a right to be happy, not be worried, not be afraid of what others think. And those are the kinds of people that don't know what it's like to be discriminated against like this in a world that we live in, because it's 2020, people. This is the year of realizing things. I don't know if any of you ever saw that Kardashians episode where one of the girls was like, "We're realizing things," or something like that. Anyways. Yeah, but I don't know. there's just a lot to talk about and a lot of things to cover when it comes to being transgender. And it's not even me saying it's super complicated, no one will understand. No, it's me saying that if you take the time to do your research and take the time to listen to somebody who is either trans or gender nonconforming, then you will learn a thing or two. If you choose to spend your time being ignorant, not listening, and not putting in any effort to research anything at all, then you're just gonna keep being ignorant and being hateful because you don't understand why people are the way that they are, i.e., transgender or gay or other things. But it's always gonna be a constant battle. Like, the only kind of, I feel, kindness out of situations like this is the kindness that you give to others. And sometimes the best way to fight, fire is with kindness. And it's tough, but it's better than getting angry and making a bigger situation out of something that could have been just so small. Anyways, I covered a lot, and I hope you liked this video. I'm probably not going to edit it again because it's a lot to edit, and I don't have the effort. I have homework to do, and I have reading to do, so that's going to be fun. But anyways, I'm probably going to make another video within the month or so, the week. Depends how I feel. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe maybe if you want. Comment down below and let me know what you want me to talk about in any future videos, and let me know if there's anything I missed. And yeah, so I'll talk to you guys next time.